Hi, this is John Colo with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and in this episode I'll be comparing two different style juicers, and this may be a comparison that will be valuable for you. Maybe you already own, like the majority of people that own juicers actually, in my opinion, unfortunately, own something like a high-speed machine, like a centrifugal ejection machine. This is actually the Breville Juice Fountain Elite model, but there's many other different kinds of centrifugal ejection machines, whether that's the, really popular Jack LaLanne or even the original Juice Man that I started out with. And this technology has been around for a long time, maybe like since the 1980s actually, and it works fairly well. But what I want to say is that actually, juicing technology has improved since that time. I mean, since 1980 they had gasoline cars and diesel cars, but nowadays they have electric cars, and electric cars, in my opinion, are an advancement in transportation technology, just like in juicers, right? In the 1990s, over in Korea, the horizontal single auger slow juicers came out, right? So this is a newer style juicer technically than this style. And here's the thing about the juicers, right? Every juicer has its own set of pros and its cons, right? And it's my job to make sure that you guys get the right juicer so that you guys can be lifetime juicers. That means you can increase the volume of fresh fruits, and especially the fresh vegetables, and more importantly, the leafy greens in your diet so that you guys can get healthy. And in my videos, of which I have over 500 videos on this YouTube channel now, trying to explain and compare and contrast and share with you guys all the different juicers and even now vacuum blenders and dehydrators so you guys can get more fruits and vegetables in you. So be sure to check my other episodes for videos on other types of juicers, right? And, although this is a slow juicer and this is a high-speed juicer, I don't use either of these juicers in my personal kitchen. I actually use a vertical juicer, which would kind of be somewhere in the middle. It looks like, it's a tall, but it's also a low-speed juicer. So check my other videos for that. Every style juicer has its pros and cons. I'll put a link down below where I explain all the different styles of juicers on the market today so that you guys can maybe get the right one for you. Just like buying a pair of shoes, right? If you're going out to the beach, you might want to get a pair of flip-flops. You wouldn't wear some military steel-toed boots out to the beach, more than likely. And if you're going to a wedding, you want to get a nice pair of, dress shoes if you're a man, or maybe some nice high heels if you're a lady. And you wouldn't, in your right mind, wear a pair of tennis shoes to a wedding, unless you didn't have anything else. And likewise, certain juicers are better or worse at doing certain things. Certain juicers are better at running marathons, and certain juicers are better at sprinting, right? And that's what I hope to explain to you in this video, some of the pros and cons of the different machines and my personal opinions on this topic. So the thing is this, the high-speed centrifugal ejection machines, they got a few pros to them, right? Number one, they're generally inexpensive. You go down to your local big box store. I was actually at one yesterday. For as low as $50, you could get one of these juicers, and the goal of the juicer is to extract the liquid or the nutrients out of the fiber, and it's the juice of the fiber that feeds you, is what one of my mentors, Jay Kordich, formerly known as the Juice Man, taught me many years ago. And it does it quite well, actually, on certain produce items, right? And it runs at a high speed, and it's super quick. Aside from being inexpensive, these juicers are super quick. So if you're like, John, I don't have the time, man. I don't have time to juice, right? And if you have even a centrifugal ejection juicer that's super fast, and you could drink juice made out of vegetables, hopefully you grew, or organic vegetables, or farmer's market grown vegetables, hey, that's great. I always want to encourage you guys to do good, better, best. Do the best you guys can. And what I will say for people that have a time crunch is this. I was in the hospital, right? I'll explain this. I was in the hospital. The doctor said, you might not make it out of the hospital alive. And at that point in my life, literally, my time could have run out, right? And at that point in my life, all I wished I had in the whole world is nothing but more time, right? And knowing what I know now, that situation happened to me over 25 years ago now, knowing what I know now, if I could take a little bit of time to invest each day to lengthen my amount of time here, and that would have prevented me from getting in the hospital in the first place, I would have did it hands down. And that's why, to this day, unless I'm doing a demo like today, I don't use high-speed machines. I use the slow-speed machines whenever possible. When I have my own juicers, I will not use a high-speed machine because I've seen the difference in the nutritional qualities. You know, maybe the vitamins and minerals aren't super, different between these two machines. The extraction rate can be significantly different depending on what you're juicing. But more importantly to me, what I have seen a big difference is the phytonutrient quality, or basically the antioxidants that are extracted. The reason why is this machine runs at a high speed. It tends to bombard all the nutrients with a lot of air. And when it does that, it lowers the nutritional quality. Now this machine, there's inaccurate websites that say high-speed machines heat the juice. That's not accurate based on my testing. And if places say that, they're just giving you some marketing fluff. I try to tell you guys like it is. My videos are long, and that's because I want you guys to get the full education. I mean, I can make this video short. I can say, hey, if you want the fastest juicer, buy this. If you want the best juicer, that's going to produce a more nutritious juice, buy that, right? And you guys could go about your business. But juicing is more than just buy this or buy that. There's many different things that you guys should consider. I mean, so another factor you might want to consider when buying a juicer is the noise factor. How much noise or how loud is it? I've had people describe a high-speed juicer as an airplane taking off in the kitchen. Let's go ahead and turn this on for you so you guys how loud it is. I mean, that guy gets extremely loud. Literally, you have to shout so that you guys can hear me. And I mean, if you have family sleeping in the morning or roommates, there's no way you're juicing with this machine without waking them up in the morning unless they're passed out. But on the other hand, so this machine runs up to 13,000 revolutions per minute. Over here on this guy, the Solostar 4, this guy's really quiet. I mean, I could still talk pretty much in a normal speaking voice. This guy runs at 57 RPMs. So that's right, this guy runs it over 220 some odd times faster than this guy. That means you'll of course be done quicker, but also that means because of the higher speed, more air is being introduced in the juice, which means it's going to oxidize some of those phytonutrients that are being created. So the other, the negative about this style machine is that it will make lower quality phytonutrient rich juice, and this one will make higher quality. Another big difference is the warranty. So for example, this guy has a 1-year warranty, and over on the Solostar 4 here, it has the longest warranty in the juicing industry, 15 years. Think about it. What if you bought a car that had a 15-year warranty? Or an iPhone that had a 15-year warranty? Literally for the next 15 years, you're guaranteed to have a juicer that's going to run for you, and you'll be able to make the juice to make the health changes and get the desired health outcomes in your life. I think that is completely amazing, and I give props to the juicing manufacturers that provide long warranties, because also it's your assurance that you're buying a good quality product that's going to last for many years to come. Now, aside from the warranty length, of course, another factor is important is the price, right? At present time, the Breville Juice Fountain Elite actually costs more than the Solostar 4. So I know for many of you guys, price may be a factor. And I would encourage you guys this. Sometimes juicers are kind of expensive. I mean, I'll give you guys that. But what I want to say is this. If you get a juicer is like literally a once-in-a-lifetime investment. Buy a good juicer. Find the one that's best going to meet your needs and get it. I mean, yes, new juicers come out every year and all this stuff. And there's always little minor improvements. I haven't ever seen any major improvements in juicers. But buy one and basically buy the right one and use that literally for the rest of your life so that you guys could derive the health benefits of the fruits and vegetables. So then the other thing that's very different between these machines is that every different juicer style will juice certain produce items either better or worse. So everybody always wants to know, John, what's the best juicer? I'm like, well, what do you want to juice? Do you want to juice carrots? Do you want to juice wheatgrass? Do you want to juice sprouts? Do you want to juice microgreens? Do you want to juice a lot of fruits and papayas and mangoes and cactus fruits and apples and pears? Or do you want to juice leafy greens, kale, collard greens, Swiss chard, spinach, dandelion? I mean, it's the leafy greens, in my opinion, are what we should really be focusing on when juicing, not the fruits. I mean, fruit juice, I'll have an upcoming episode on, fruit juice really isn't as bad as people think. Oh, fruit juice is extracted sugar. It's not extracted sugar. Fruit juice has mostly water in it, contains a naturally occurring sugar that would have been in the fruit in the first place. Maybe you're removing some of the fiber, but you're keeping some of the fiber, but you're getting the majority of the vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. So you still will get the health benefits from drinking fresh fruit juice as you would pretty much from eating the fruit, as confirmed by many studies. Anyways, that's probably my next video. So yeah, certain juicers juice certain things. So for example, like hard vegetables, this juicer does great. This machine couldn't be any better designed to juice hard vegetables other than maybe a twin gear juicer or a cold press 2-stage juicer like the Pure Juicer. This guy's going to make pretty much the highest yield on carrots from my testing, right? That being said, you know, this guy does an admirable job, but it won't be as high as that for just the yield. But if you measure the nutrition of the carrot juice made in each of these, I would definitely bet that this one would have higher antioxidant content for sure. And that's really what I'm after all these years living on a healthy lifestyle and diet. Now let's go ahead and flip over to something like wheatgrass, right? This juicer will pretty much not juice wheatgrass, whereas this one can. So if you want to juice wheatgrass, you pretty much got to get some kind of slow juicer. Leafy greens. This guy will juice leafy greens, but in my opinion, and as you guys will see in a little bit, it does a horrible job at juicing leafy greens. This guy does really well at juicing leafy greens. What's another category of fruits and vegetables we could juice? Oh, fruits. So apples. Actually, on apples, this juicer is a decent juicer at juicing apples or many other fruits just due to the design. That being said, it does tend to aerate the juice a lot and maybe not get the exactest highest yields. Once again, you know, for fruits, the best juicer in my opinion is a press style juicer. So like the Pure Juicer would be the best juicer for juicing fruits. It deals with the soft fruit pulp the best. And then actually over on this side, the Solostar 4, while it will juice fruits, and especially you should be juicing fruits with your other vegetables and leafy greens, if you just try to put straight fruits in here alone, depending on the fruit you're juicing, it may not do that well. Basically, this style machine literally needs some kind of hard fiber to push the produce through to get it to juice. So if you put pineapples in here, you're probably going to be pulling out your hair if you have any left, because it's really going to just mash up and get stuck, and it's not going to get ejected out. But by simply adding like pineapples and alternating with celery, it's going to do great, and then thereby you're actually going to lower the sugar content in your juice because you're now adding mineral-rich or electrolyte-rich celery juice in there. So I think that's actually a good thing, that you're going to be balancing out some of your fruits with something like celery or even something like carrots or something like jicama, you know, or nice common vegetables that are going to help push the softer fruits through this machine. So once again, each one of these machines have their pros and cons. It's my job here to lay those out on the table for you guys so you guys could, you know, see which one would be right for you. So let's go ahead and take apart these machines and see how they work. So on the Breville, basically what happens is you have a nice big feed chute, and that's another pro or con. You know, people think, oh, if it has a big feed chute, you don't got to cut stuff as much. And in some cases, yes. In some cases, no. Big feed chutes are good in the sense that you could feed things fast, but they're also a con because then generally there'll be less of a blade contact time, and you also may lose yield because of that. So that's this. You put the produce in there, and once you put it in there, then the produce gets put into these little plate here, which actually has these little teeth on it. If you guys could see that. And these teeth are little like when you shred up carrots, they're like little shredding teeth. So basically anything you put in here is shred up, and at the minute it's shred up, it breaks open the cell walls and some juice is released. This is spinning at a high speed, so as the juice is released, it goes to this centrifugal spinning screen, and then the juice, actually, the liquids actually get flung through the small holes in the screen into the bowl, and they come out the front of the machine, and all the pulp stays in here and basically gets kicked out the back into the hopper. And then here's the bowl that you got to clean afterwards. Now, I do want to say that every juicer you know, has to be cleaned, and easy cleaning is a pro or a con. Most of the time it's a pro because people want easy cleaning. But the hardest part to clean on the juicer is the juicing screen. This is where basically the pulp could get stuck in the holes, and then you're going to have to scrub and scrape out all the pulp. Many juicers now include a special cleaning brush, although I like to get actually an IKEA cleaning brush, dish brush for like 50 cents. They seem to work the best for me because they have a nice large surface area and have a pretty nice stiff bristles, and they're pretty cheap. So I'll basically brush off the inside and the outside. Now the best time to clean your juicer is right after you're done using it. Don't let it sit for 2 hours, 3 hours. Don't come back to it next day, because what will happen is after you juice and the pulp is wet and stuck in here, that's great because it's going to come off easy because it's a little bit wet. But once the pulp dries in there, it's like it's hard as a rock, and it's much more not likely that you're going to be able to scrub out all the different fibers out of the screen. If you do that, then the holes will clog, and over time the performance of your juicer will go down. To assemble this guy, it's pretty easy. Just put the juicing screen in there, put the top on, line it all up, and then just lock it into place. And so on this guy, it works a lot differently. There's no like shredding teeth, and that's another negative about this machine. The shredding teeth on high-speed machines, these go dull. They can't really be sharpened, so when they go dull, you have to buy a new blade. And in most cases, the blade is not sold separately, so you have to actually buy the blade and the basket assembly. So if you have to buy the blade and basket assembly, number one, you better hope that the company that you bought the juicer from is going to be around in a couple years. Like the original Jack LaLanne juicer, it's no longer around. They're not making that anymore, and I don't even know if you could get parts. Maybe you could find them on eBay from some knockoff company. Maybe you guys could do that. But, you know, and some of the parts can get expensive. And, you know, the blade should be replaced every at least couple years, and this also depends on how much you're using the machine. I mean, on a Breville, the blade could run like $50. So, I mean, that's a good sizable investment, and the blades are not covered under warranty. So meanwhile, on the Solostar 4, there is no blade to ever wear out on you. And how this machine works, unlike the Breville that has a wide feed chute, this guy's a much smaller feed chute. That's a feed chute size. This is 1.5 inches in diameter, and the Breville, that's 3 inches in diameter, so that's like significantly larger. But anyways, as how this guy works, we're going to go ahead and take this apart for you. As you put the produce down into the machine, there's this auger, and actually this is the longest auger on any horizontal single auger style juicer that I'm aware of. You put the produce in there, and this is spinning at a low and slow speed, kind of like your old-fashioned meat grinder. And basically it goes in there, and the produce gets crushed, and as the produce works its way down this auger, which is 8 times harder than augers on previous slow horizontal juicers, it basically gets ground up, and as it's getting ground up, once again the juice is being released. So this happens at a much lower RPM to, you know, minimally damage the delicate phytonutrients. And then basically as it's getting ground up, there's all this screen area that then the juice drips out of, and the pulp basically makes its way out and comes out of the front machine. Now on this machine, it has basically a grinding section, or you know, where basically it crushes the produce, and then this is the squeezing section. And this is pretty much unique to this machine. I mean, other machines have something like this, but this is actually the longest. And based on that, you know, in my testing, it gets a higher yield than other horizontal style machines like this. And then basically the juice comes out the front, the bottom, and the pulp comes out the front. Once again, this is really easy to assemble. It says upper here, so that always has to face up. And then basically on the end you have this what's called an end cap. This drum cap goes on the end, and then actually you just have this little knob, which is an outlet adjusting knob to some extent. You basically just put it on here, and you could basically tighten this all the way to put a little bit of back pressure on the pulp, so that keeps the pulp in there a longer period of time to get fully wrung out before it gets released. Or you could take it out completely if you're juicing something that is backing up like fruits, or you could just put it on just a little bit so that you could get a higher yield, but it'll still allow the pulp to come out. I always like to just crank this up to the maximum force so that I get the most juice and, of course, the driest pulp. So that's pretty much how both these machines work. They work a little bit differently. Once again, slow speed, high speed. Once again, you heard about some of the pros and cons on each machine. I think what I want to do next for you guys is actually put my money where my mouth is and actually juice a bunch of different items in these machines so you guys can see how they actually work and the yield that you're going to get out of each machine. So let's go ahead and do the weigh-in on the collard greens. Basically we have 5 leaves off each plant, and over here it looks like we have 371 grams, and over on this side looks like we also have 371 grams. So it looks like we have an even fight for this comparison. Alright, so now that you guys saw we have a fair fight, let's go ahead and clean this table up a little bit, move some scales out of the way. And what I thought I like to do always is time this for you guys so you guys can see actually how long the juicing process takes in each juicer. Obviously the easiest time for juicing will be the Breville. The Breville, you will need to use the pusher. And so let's get juicing. First I'm going to juice in the Breville. We're going to time it to see how long it takes. We're going to turn this baby on, hit the start button, and feed all this stuff in there. guys can see, we finished. That took a total of basically under a minute. It took 56 seconds. So that went really fast. I don't know if you guys saw that though, but you know, had a lot of overspray and things were spraying out, and this juice basically went everywhere, but we got a good half cup of juice. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and juice in the Solostar 4. Let's see how long it takes. We'll turn that on, press start, and we're gonna get our leaves, and we're gonna start juicing. I basically just like to put the leaves in there whole, and generally I like to try to roll this up like a big fat cigar. Smaller leaves, you can do that. Sometimes these ones are pretty large, you might not be able to do that, and then just basically shove them in there to get them juiced up. This, because the leaves are so large, I'm probably going to have to break them up a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and use the pusher. So as you guys can see, you know, a lot quieter. We're not getting juice blowback like everywhere. It's a much neater and easier process. I think in order to save you guys some time, we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to juice all this stuff in front of you, but we're going to go ahead and speed this up and play some music for you guys while you wait. Alright, so I just finished juicing in the Solostar 4. Looks like it has 4 minutes and 39 seconds. We're going to go ahead and hit the stop there. And once you put the last item in, unlike the Breville, you want to let it run just a little bit longer to fully extract all the deliciousness out of the produce. How you know when it's ready to turn it off is if it stops dripping and also the pulp stops flowing out of the ejection port, which looks like it pretty much has. So next, actually, I want to compare the pulp actually each of the machines made. So here on the Breville, if we dump it out, it did a fairly good job. It like basically looks like some sawdust right here. But if you look, you'll see just like whole pieces of leaves that literally just basically went through the machine that didn't get juiced. I mean, there's a bunch of them. And this is actually a warm sawdust. And if we take this and if I squeeze it, I can squeeze a little bit of juice out in between my fingers. And meanwhile, over on the Solostar 4 pulp, if we look at that, it's also pretty much like sawdust, really well broken down. Let's see here on this, it also has some juice left in there, maybe a tad bit more than the Breville. So the Breville was impressive in that respect, but once again, it did leave some big pieces. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the juices here up front and center for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and pour out the Solostar 4 juice here. So clearly we're not actually doing measurements today to see actually how much more juice was made, but we're basically putting them in the exact same cup, and you guys could clearly see that the Solostar 4 made more juice, and I'd say, I mean, definitely maybe like 20-25% more juice potentially. And the other thing is, I want you guys to, I don't know if you guys could see that on the camera, but I could clearly see that just looking at it. But look at the color of the juices, right? This one is nice, dark, deep green, and this one's kind of like more light green. This also has, a lot more air and bubbles on the top. I mean, this also does have some as well. But now I want to go ahead and do the taste tests of the juices. Maybe first we'll start with the Solostar 4. Now that juice is strong, straight tree collards out of my garden. I am detecting some pulp or particulate in there, so if you wanted it totally pulp free, you would want to strain it. And then over to the Breville juice now. Wow. I taste some fine particulate in there as well, and it's very interesting. I'm going to have to taste this one again. Wow. That's a big difference. So the Breville juice to me kind of tastes like almost bitter. I mean, depending on your palate, straight leafy greens may or may not taste too good. To me, they taste alright, but this one actually tastes bitter, whereas this one actually tastes sweet. So this one actually has a much better flavor, in my opinion. That's because, you're not adding and pushing a lot of extra air in there, which is causing extra oxidation. Because what we don't realize is that when we taste things and it tastes good, we're actually tasting the nutrients. So that makes sense to me that this has more nutrients. It also tastes sweeter, tastes better. This is more oxidized, doesn't quite taste as good, as well as didn't make as much yield. I guess next I got to clean this whole mess up. We're going to come back at you and we're going to juice some fruits in both juicers next. So now we're all set up to juice the next item, and what I'll be juicing today are blood oranges. Blood oranges are high in anthocyanins. They're my favorite and probably one of the healthiest oranges you guys could eat. Anyways, I've already peeled them because you shouldn't be juicing the skin. There are indigestible chemicals in the outer orange coloring of the skin, although you could peel that off and leave most of the white pith, which actually is the most nutritious part of the oranges. I've gone ahead and peeled them, and I guess first step is let's go ahead and do a weigh-in to make sure we have a fair and even fight. Alright, let's go ahead and do a close-ups on the scales here. But once again, 3 blood oranges in each one. On this scale, looks like we have 582 grams, and over on this scale, looks like once again we have 582 grams. So yes, we have 582 grams on both scales. This will be a totally fair fight. Alright, let's go ahead and move these scales out of the way and let's get juicing. Once again, I'll be timing how long it takes to juice in each machine, just to let you guys know how long it takes. Now, of course, the Breville is going to be a lot faster. I mean, it took literally under a minute to juice all the collard greens last time, and I don't really expect any different with the blood oranges. So this time on the Breville, I think we're going to go ahead and run the low speed. We're going to go ahead and hit start and turn it on low. And put in each orange into the machine. As you guys can see, we got the nice, deep, rich blood orange juice. It's almost kind of looking a little bit pinkish there to me. And we might be overflowing the glass here. Whoa, stop. Uh-oh. We made a mess there, alright. But yeah, anyways, we filled the entire glass with the blood orange juice. Probably should have a larger container. Let's go ahead and hit the stop button here. 36 seconds, super quick. Alright, got that juice explosion cleaned up. Made literally 1 glass of juice and then some, because we had some spillage there. Let's go ahead and turn on the Solostar 4. Gonna be a lot more calmer there. And on these guys, we basically, to do this, we have to actually peel them to make them go in the machine. And literally we could just drop each one in one at a time, each segment. And to save you guys some time, we're going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys. Alright, so it looks like we're just about done juicing all the blood oranges in the Solostar 4. That went nice and easily, really quiet. And it looks like we got an amazing yield. In addition, all the pulp came out. And on this one, looks like it took about 2 minutes. So I think that was, what, 40 seconds versus 2 minutes. So it took maybe 3 times the amount of time to juice. Basically, on these guys, I basically just peeled the segments off and put each segment in, and it juiced without issue. This is on maximum tension to make sure the pulp is going to be the driest. And now this is with oranges. Other citrus should juice fairly well in this machine. Something like pineapples that generally don't have a lot of nice hard fiber to push out may get stuck. In addition, apples. You know, when you juice apples in any slow juicer, you should select the most hardest and firmest apples. Granny Smiths usually work pretty well. Otherwise, they will more likely make an apple sauce. Same thing with the pears. Anyways, let's go ahead and get a cup out here and show you guys actually a comparison of the juices. As you guys can see, this guy is fully separated now. And if we pour this guy out here, let's take a look at what we got. Alright, looks like we got 1 full glass. So, I mean, technically on that, the Breville probably made more, but the other thing is, if you look, the Breville made a lot of foam. So, I mean, we did have spillover on the Breville. If I would have caught it all, how would this look? I mean, still, the Breville would be a lot more foam, and maybe it would have yielded the exact amount or about the same as the Solostar 4. It's definitely hard to tell, to say what's a clear winner because of all the foam, and whereas this one produced very little, if any, foam. The other thing I will say before even taste testing these Or look at all the separation and look at the color pigment. When this guy came out, I was really stunned. I really liked the color. It was a nice, like, lighter magenta color. And that's because you're seeing the air bubbles in the juice dilute with the deep, rich red color to make it a lighter color. But if you look at this closely, and if we had one of those instruments that could measure the depth of color or which one of these have deeper color, I'll try to hold this up closer to the camera for you guys so you guys can see. Can you guys see that? Like, which one has a deeper, richer color? To me, it's quite evident that the Solostar 4 has a deeper, richer color. This means there's more anthocyanins. These are those beneficial pigments that can help us even shed weight and normalize our blood pressure and sugar levels in our blood, according to some studies I've seen. Of course, let's take a look at the pulp here. The Breville, you know, there's a lot of pulp still stuck in the machine, but on the Breville, basically, you have all this nice wet pulp here. And, you know, some of the segments you could see, you know, I mean, here's almost a whole orange segment that didn't get juiced. I mean, this is just how it is with a high-speed centrifugal machine. It goes in there, it blasts stuff through, it kicks it out, and sometimes things don't get juiced. Things that do get juiced, you know, do get juiced fairly well. But meanwhile, on the Solostar 4, basically, it looks like we have all the pulp right here well broken down. I mean, if we squeeze this, I mean, yes, it is squeezing out. I'm not really seeing too much juice come out between my fingers, so it's done a quite fair job. I mean, this is by no means is it totally dry, and if I put this in a press, I'd probably get another 10% juice out. But yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. And that's one of the negatives of the centrifugal ejection. Sometimes you'll get whole chunks of produce out that didn't get juiced. In general, slow juicers grind up everything, even if they are not 100% total efficient. Anyways, next I want to taste these guys. These guys are surely going to taste good. First we'll try the one in the Solostar 4. Wow. That's a really nice juice. I feel there's no detectable pulp or fiber in there. To me, these are not the highest quality blood oranges that I've ever bought in my life. So the juice isn't necessarily sweet. It's just kind of pretty much mellow. Next, let's go ahead and try this. And look at the separation on that guy, man. It's kind of crazy. Alright, first off, when I take a gulp, I'm pretty much gulping off like foam. It's like the head on beer. I mean, most people don't like to drink the head on beer. I don't like to drink the head on my juices. But then going down, when I drink it, I'm basically drinking the second layer. So I drink the foam layer, then I drink this heavy separated layer, which is maybe more of this thicker stuff. So it's kind of like almost not quite like a smoothie, but it's really thick. Kind of frothy. I mean, it's alright. Let's go ahead and taste this one again. So it's definitely an interesting comparison. Like, this one's more, especially if you stirred it up, be more rich and full-bodied because there's some kind of like texture or something in there. And this one's more clean and, you know, more just like a clean orange juice would be. So it's kind of interesting. I can't really discern like which one of these tastes better. It was clearly evident when I did the collard greens, but with this, I mean, I'll drink them both. They both taste good. Yeah, I guess next, let's go ahead and juice the final test today, which will be some vegetables. Once again, all cleaned up, set up, and ready to juice the last juice of the day, which is basically a common vegetable juice. Today we'll be juicing actually organic carrots, organic celery, and a little bit of ginger. And I guess first, let's go ahead and do a weigh-in. Alright, let's go ahead and do a weigh-in. Carrots, celery, ginger. Looks like on the Breville side, 750 grams. Over to the Solostar 4 side, looks like we got 750 grams there. So yeah, this looks like to be an even and fair fight. Now that we know that we have a fair fight, let's go ahead and move some of these scales out of the way, clean this place up, and let's go ahead and time to see how long it takes to juice in the Breville this time. So this time we're going to go ahead and use the Breville on high speed. We're going to go ahead and turn that on, click that down, and start cramming through the produce. Alright, as not to have an overflow this time, I stopped it early because that's going to start blowing over. 37 seconds. Let's go ahead and I'm going to get a measuring cup and we'll come back and we're going to juice the rest of these last two and get an even measurement this time. Alright, let's go ahead and swap that out for this. I probably should just use this one in the first place. Will that fit underneath there? Yes, it will. And let's go ahead and juice the last 2 carrots. Alright, that's done. Let's go ahead and reset that. And let's now juice in the Solostar 4. Let's go ahead and hit the start there for you guys and go. Save you guys time, we're going to go ahead and speed this up. Basically, I'm just going to be rotating the produce, 1 celery, 1 carrot, 1 celery, 1 carrot. Alright, so as you guys can see, I'm just about done juicing in the Solostar. Actually, this one rather quick. Actually took under 3 minutes to juice in the Solostar that round. But of course, it took under a minute in the Juice Fountain Elite there. So that's about 3 times the amount of time. As you guys saw, depending on what you're juicing, could be 2 to 3 times more amount of time. It just depends. So let's see here. It looks like the Solostar 4 is pretty much done. Let's go ahead and get our measuring cup out here that's identical to the one over here. And let's go ahead and pour this juice out and see how much juice we got here. So I mean, the first thing I'm noticing is that the juice on the Solostar 4 has a nice, deeper, richer color. Like it's actually more colorful, like maybe more orange color versus the one made on the Breville, a little bit more brown. That being said, you know, I gotta actually do a close-up on this because it is actually pretty close to call. Go ahead and give you guys a close-up on the yields there over on the Breville side. Looks like it made about 1 U.S. pint, or approximately maybe 475 milliliters with you know, a good amount of foam. And if you guys look closely, you guys could see some separation starting to occur. And if you guys look just at the comparison of the colors of the juices, you could see really the one over on the Solostar 4 kind of looks more deep, rich, and vibrant all the way through, whereas on this one, I don't know if it's almost like kind of translucent to me. Maybe to me that means it doesn't have it's not as rich or have as many nutrients in there. And then over on the Solostar 4 side, looks like we have like maybe 425 milliliters of juice there. So maybe like 50 more milliliters of juice made with the Breville. Alright, as you guys can see, the Breville actually won the yield contest in that one. But now I want to take a look at the pulp. Here's the pulp on the Solostar 4. Once again, pretty much everything is bitterly crushed up and squeezed. The celery strings did not phase the Solostar 4 one bit. And then over on the Breville pulp, actually this is quite interesting. We're going to dump this out even though it's a pain to clean for me. If you look at the pulp there, it's kind of almost like, it doesn't look super vibrant. It's like almost like a light color. It's just really interesting. And if we look at this color, look at the vibrancy of the pulp. Like, I'm not exactly sure why that's happening. Is it because like the oxidative damage? Is it because it's getting it rather dry? I'm not exactly sure. But the interesting thing is, I mean, if some of the celery, I mean, look, here's whole pieces of celery that didn't get juiced. Here's, you know, chunks of carrots that didn't get juiced. I mean, oh wow, this is a really large piece of celery on the Breville that literally didn't get juiced. But on the celery over on this side, I mean, this is what the celery got turned into on the Solostar 4. So clearly, each one of these juicers have their pros and cons. If you just go off yield, in this situation, the Breville won. If you're going off, John, I want the most nutritious juice, then probably the Solostar 4 won. If you just want to get everything ground up better, then the Solostar 4 won. But let's go ahead and taste the juice. This is important to me. I'll taste the Solostar 4 juice first. Now I do taste some particulate in there, so you will want to strain it out if you don't want any particulate. I mean, it just tastes like a basic gingery celery carrot juice. Let's go ahead and try the Breville next. Interesting. Let me taste this one again. I mean, I virtually taste no particulate. There's some fine particles in there, but not much. Wow. There's definitely a taste difference. I don't know how to describe that. I guess the only thing I could say is it's kind of like the difference between the collard greens when I tasted them. Like, the collard greens on the Breville tasted more bitter to me, clear. I could easily say, that's more bitter. And this, I can't really say bitter. I want to say, like, it doesn't taste as good. Like, this one actually has more of a flavor to it. And this one maybe is, I wouldn't say maybe quite bitter, but it has like an off flavor to it. And, you know, my only thing I could say regarding this is, like, in my opinion, and it's my belief that the taste difference is solely due to the oxidation. I mean, basically, we took the carrots, we extracted out the liquids from the carrots so we could have a better absorption of the nutrients. And in this case, some of the nutrients have been oxidized, which makes an off flavor due to the air bombarding, you know, the juice as it's being created. And in this side, it just didn't happen. Of course, this side it still made more yield, but it depends. Do you want more yield or do you want more nutrients? Like, I've seen studies where they test a slow juice versus a high-speed juice, and in an actual petri dish where they actually put active cancer cells, and they actually tested broccoli juice with a slow juicer versus a fast juicer. The broccoli juice made with a slow juicer had better cancer-fighting ability than the juice made in the high-speed juicer, or blended broccoli, and I believe that's due to the oxidative damage that happens to these sensitive phytonutrients as air is being introduced to them. So, you know, the choice is yours. I just got to tell you guys like it is. I mean, of course, this one took longer, right? But you get more nutrients. You get a better tasting juice. So if, like, you're on the edge, John, I don't like how juices taste, you might want to get a slow juicer, because in general the juices taste significantly better than a more oxidized juice with less of the phytonutrients, because that's, after all, what we are tasting. I mean, of course, the warranty, this unit wins on the side of the warranty. I mean, that one, the main thing it's got going for it is its speed. I mean, really no other juicer could beat the speed of a high-speed juicer. So, oh, and then the other thing I want to say is that there's many different styles of juicers, whether you're using a Breville or whether you're using a Ejection or other style. In general, all the results and how this worked would be pretty much how other high-speed machines would work. And this one, once again, this would work pretty much similar to other horizontal single auger style juicers. Of course, this one, based on my testing, gets some of the highest yields of any horizontal single auger style machine. I think between these two units, if I had to choose one, and if I have to declare the winner today, like I do in all my different juice off comparisons, I'm going to declare the winner the Solostar 4 for me, and based on what I saw today. In general, but not always, you know, depending on what you're juicing. On leafy greens, this made more. On the blood oranges, it was, I don't really know which one made more, but in all cases, this one, in my opinion, made higher quality juice. Also, it's a lot quieter to use. You didn't have all this splashing and stuff everywhere. I mean, the cleaning on these guys, depending on what you're juicing, you know, this one could be a little bit simpler. This one could be a little bit simpler. The thing with this is there's less screen area to get clogged up. On the first two recipes, straight collard greens and straight citrus, it was easy to clean the screen. On the carrots, it's going to be a little more difficult because the carrot could get ground in, but nonetheless, there's less holes on here to get clogged up than on the Breville. So, I mean, every machine has its pros and cons, and you have to decide which one makes the best sense for you to get. Or if you already own a juicer, maybe you want to keep that one instead of getting a new one, because basically, as human beings, we like what we like, right? If you go out with a girl or a boy or your wife or husband for 10 years, you like what you like them, right? And if you got a new one tomorrow and they did things a little bit differently, you wouldn't like it, right? So, I mean, in many cases, you might want to just keep the one you got, unless you're really unhappy with it, unless you want higher quality nutrients, you want to get more cancer fighting ability, and you don't mind taking the time to push each produce item in, and you know, the cleaning or the time involved with preparing things with a smaller feed chute. You know, that's totally up to you. I just try to share this so you guys can make the most informed decision and end up with the right juicer for you. Because that truly to me is the most important, is that you actually get a juicer no matter which one it is, and you actually use it every day. Of course, do the best you guys can, and I would always encourage you guys to get the highest quality juicer that's going to make the highest quality juice, so you guys could get the maximum benefits out of the fresh fruits and the fresh vegetables, which are the most undereaten and most nutritious plants on the entire planet. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed this episode, I would encourage you guys to support me and my work, right? I take many hours out of my day to weigh produce, to clean juicers, and make these videos for you guys so that you guys could benefit, right? And my only hope is that hopefully I've helped you out in some small way, and if you're buying a juicer, please support me so I can continue to make these videos. No other retailer that I am aware of in the United States are making videos to this detail to share with you guys the truth. You know, they're just trying to sell you a machine and say it's the best, and I mean, every juicer in its own respect is the best, and you have to find the right one for you. And I saw all the major brands and have videos on all of them so you guys could find out. And if you're still not sure after watching this video, watch many of my other videos. Invest some time in educating yourself to learn the truth about how all the different juicers work so you guys could truly buy the right one for you. So I appreciate and I want to thank you guys for those of you guys that will purchase from me in advance. And I want to thank you guys who have purchased from me in the past so that I could continue to make my videos and drink all this fresh juice I get to make during my videos. But I would normally be doing that anyways during the course of my day. I also want to say that in general, I actually don't use either of these two machines myself. I actually prefer a vertical single auger juicer, which can have problems unto itself. They can jam, they can clog, you know, and those machines have their own pros and cons too, but for my uses, they're kind of like a synergy between the high speed and the horizontal, because it's a low speed vertical machine, so it works, you know, not as fast as that, but faster than this, and generally juices things, you know, all different kinds of produce fairly well, so that's why I like that. And I'll put a link down below to a video I did comparing the top 3 vertical slow juicers on the market at this time. Also be sure to click the thumbs up if you like this video, if you like the comparison format, want me to do more, please give me a thumbs up. I'm always coming out with new videos every 5 to 7 days, so you never know where I'll show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. So for that reason, click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on any of my new upcoming episodes that I have coming out. And be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge, over 500 episodes on this YouTube channel, describing, comparing, and demonstrating all the different various brands of juicers on the market today. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.